What's going on, casters? Today, I think we need to have a discussion about the video that just dropped on A Drive's Nobby channel about Daybreak. And if you're reading the title, you may be thinking about it for a different reason than what I'm actually going to talk about. But I want to talk about how, in my opinion, this announcement and what they are doing with this is essentially putting a nail in Daybreak as a set for the foreseeable future. Now, I want to start this with a very clear caveat. I am not looking to make a comment on Daybreak as a set. I actually think Daybreak as a set is a really solid set. I have a tier list video coming out where I actually ranked Daybreak as one of the top investments alongside Moonrise and a couple other sets in Elestrals today. And I actually applauded Elestrals for getting Daybreak and Moonrise to the point where they could sell above wholesale cost. I've been talking about it in different channels, and I've been talking about how well I felt like the first edition boxes outside of Frostfall had been handled for the most part. I also don't want this to seem as I'm just complaining or that I think that this is in some way just exclusively negative. I like a lot of parts about the video. I really love the transparency of A Drive explaining how much of his own personal money he invested in Elestrals. The visibility into the print runs, I think, is unprecedented compared to a lot of other games that just refuse to share that kind of information. I think, opening up in this and the Frostfall videos, I think are very positive, and they're some of the reasons why I am drawn to the game itself. I also don't want this to come across as me just complaining that players can now get more accessible cards. I don't think that's a problem. I actually enjoy the fact that they're making it to where players are able to get cheaper packs, get access to something, hunt for something that's never been found before. I think that's really cool. I don't have an issue with how any of that part has been handled or the way that that's coming across. I also, I really love Elestrals. I don't think these decisions are going to have a significant impact on future booster box sets. I don't think it's even going to have a significant impact on first edition, pending some other thoughts that I'll have later. I'm not scared away from Kickstarter boxes. This doesn't worry me about Moonrise or base set first edition. This information and what they've done in here doesn't really sway very much. And had the video just been an informational video, dumping this information out there and letting the public know, or announcing a different strategy, I think I would have been very happy with it. I also want to point out I'm not a marketing expert. These are just my opinions, the ways that I'm going to approach this news, and how I'm very confident some other people will react to this and what I think the downstream effects of it are going to be. I have some options that I think are probably worth exploring. I hope the Elestrals team will listen to this and consider some of the things that I throw out there, because I think, in my opinion, it would be helpful. That said, I recognize I'm not a TCG printing or sales expert. I do not have a degree in marketing, so everything I say could be completely wrong because it's very subjective opinions. But I wanted to share it because I know a lot of people are thinking it, and I want to use this platform to kind of share some of these opinions and see what other people think about it. So, without any further ado, I want to get to the actual crux of the conversation here, which is the announcement of, very specifically, the new promo code to get buy one, get one free on Daybreak. This is very similar to what they chose to do for Frostfall. I think there are very different reasons why I think this matters for Daybreak, where I was not really fazed about it for Frostfall. I did not have any issue with them doing this for Frostfall, but it actually bothers me quite a bit about Daybreak. Before I get to my reasoning for that specifically, one thing to keep in mind is that Shop Elestrals is the main place people will go to get product. Even though it is at MSRP, you'll see that sales data from this website consistently beats sales data from other sites. Normal stores do not have this kind of traffic, which makes sense, right? This is the validated place. This is where people can go to support. But essentially, because of that, this website becomes the hard ceiling for what people are willing to pay in other places. So when Frostfall is placed on sale and it's $130, buy one, get one, that means it's essentially $65 a box. That means if a store tries to list Frostfall at any price above that, they will probably not get sales. Anyone who knows Elestrals and has experience with it, they're not going to get booster boxes from any other store if they know that Elestral's main site is going to sell it for $65. Same thing with Daybreak. Same thing with a lot of these other groups boxes, right? Sunstrike is sold out, so there is a chance in some world in the future that someone will pay more for that, and eventually Shop Elestrals will sell out, right? I'm not saying like, oh, this is going to be in stock forever. It may take a couple years for all of this product to churn through. I mean, we're talking about more than half of the product that's out there that was originally listed is still out there, and that's not good, right? But A Drive explicitly stated that the print run for both Daybreak and Frostfall is around 25,000 boxes. Well, in stock on Shop Elestrals, there are 14,000 plus booster boxes for Frostfall and over 13,000 booster boxes for Daybreak. So we're essentially saying we have to resell all of the boxes that have already been sold in the last couple of years again, but now it's not a fresh set anymore. And yeah, it's on sale. It's cheaper, so it should in theory sell a little bit easier, but they've had multiple rounds of sales for Frostfall already and only sold maybe a few thousand boxes. The expectation is very clear. This set will be probably half price on Elestrals indefinitely. And I think that's where the problem lies. Um, the essential crux of the matter here is even if they end the BOGO deal for Daybreak, they've brought the Frostfall back multiple times. Every 6 months, they bring the SS BOGO, which is now on a permanent state as well. People know that these boxes will go on sale for $65 again. In sales, there's a concept known as price memory. Basically, the idea is once people see something at a price and they feel like that price is pretty consistent, that becomes the anchor or the baseline for what they expect that product to sell like in the future. Because of that, even if Shop Electrals takes this sale down next week, people are going to expect that it's going to come back. So the likelihood of somebody being willing to pay 70 or $80 for this booster box is almost non-existent. And a really big problem with that is that the Elestrals wholesale site is currently selling these booster boxes for $78. As a reseller, you cannot buy this box as cheap as you can on the main website. So in response to that, you could say, well, why don't the sellers just go buy it on Shop Elestrals? Again, if everybody knows the boxes are going to go back to $65 at some point, it means very few people, other than people who are not really aware of the situation of the boxes, those people might be willing to pay more money. But anyone who knows what they're doing, the regulars, aren't going to pay more than $70 for this box, which means there's no money to be made for game stores, online or LGSs. And because of that, that essentially means no one's ever going to stock Daybreak again. Game stores are not going to buy this product because they cannot sell it for anything other than a loss. And in my opinion, that's a very big loss to the community as a whole. Now, the reason I'm not upset about this for Frostfall, number one, all of the printing issues. Obviously, there is a mixed opinion and feel on Frostfall. Some people really love it because of all the craziness. Some people really hate it and because of all the printing issues and the craziness itself. You could get boxes that have nothing in it from full art perspective or have multiple reverse stellars or serialized stellars in them. I think Frostfall also like it has the appeal of Cryo Scorch, but outside of that, I think before the announcement of the BOGO, people were not making a profit on Frostfall. people were still selling Frostfall for $60, $70 per box, and there was still quite a bit out there. You could do a Google search and find many stores that had these boxes listed for $70. Whereas Daybreak, it had finally crossed the threshold of being profitable for stores. I knew several store owners who were talking about stocking Daybreak again, giving people an option to come in and actually pay for this. So because of that, LGSs are not really going to be looking at this box anymore, the way that it's currently set up. Where Frostfall, they kind of already weren't, or, they had already kind of taken a loss on it and were just kind of moving on. But now, where some stores who are not already Elestral stores, who could have bought a Daybreak box and made money from it, now don't have that option. A lot of stores are turned off from Elestrals because they see it as a money sink. They see it as something that they can't make money on. They just buy it so that they can pass it on and buy Pokemon or Magic cards. Because of this, you have a very you continue the negative feel of Elestrals. We had a chance to have a box here be a net positive for a store, and we're taking it away right as that's starting to happen. It's debatable. Does Elestrals actually care about that? Do they want that? Do they want to just support the players and the stores who are already giving them support? I think it's never a loss to allow stores to start to love your product. Right now, maybe they get into it because they can make money, but if that leads to a community of people coming in and playing the game because they get those packs, I think that's a huge win in Elestral's corner. Again, not a marketing expert, but in my mind, that should be something they want to do. So I'm not as mad about it with Frostfall. I'm not really upset about it at all because of the printing issues, because of the fact that I already wasn't making a positive gain on it. That's why Daybreak, I think, is more painful to me. So ultimately, what does this mean? I think most people, especially collectors, have no real reason to buy Daybreak anymore. Anyone who likes sealed product, who wants to buy things and keep them sealed, will have no incentive of buying Daybreak right now. It is $65, and like I said, you expect it to be $65 from now moving forward. Again, that might not be something that Elestrals is upset about. Maybe they're okay with the only people who buy these boxes being people who will break them. Resellers won't buy them. Collectors won't buy them. Only people who are looking to open them, more than likely, are going to buy them. Now, I do think there's some opportunity here at $65 a box. You may be able to make a profit on opening these, especially with the full arts being as valuable as they are from this set, and your chances to get a stellar. Now, knowing the print runs are as high as they are should de-incentivize you from wanting to stellar hunt, because there's twice as many boxes and not that many more or any more serialized stellars in it compared to some of the other first edition boxes. So that might push some collectors away as well. In general, I think you're mostly just going to get people here either hunting the X out of 10 or, just wanting to break for fun. I don't think discounting the price is a bad move, just to be clear. I think the way they've discounted it is the problem. So let's get into what I think a better option would have been, a better way to have approached this. First of all, I think pushing through the Shop Elestral site probably does make them more money than going through distribution. Like if they are selling it at this price on their website, they charge for shipping. Obviously, taxes are handled by the buyer. So ultimately, they're probably making more money for themselves off of this. But how much more? Maybe like 10 or 15% if they were to sell these boxes through the Elestrals wholesale program and offer them at 50 or 55. They're definitely making more money selling them for 65 to the end consumer than they would otherwise. But I think the difference, the benefit of were they to open it to the wholesale program, at least first, give people first dibs to buy it through there. Those stores could have bought the boxes at 50 or 55 and put them on sale at 65 or maybe slightly lower and still be able to turn some kind of profit while also still making the sale on Shop Elestrals. Now, the real benefit to that is that not only do the stores have a chance to make some money, it also gives new players coming into the store, new collectors coming in, a chance to see something that is, oh, $2 a pack. Or, in that case, it actually be even less than that. That could drive somebody to say, hey, I'll try this game out because it's really cheap. As it is, though, the stores aren't going to get regulars to buy it because they can't buy it at a price that regulars will buy it at. So they're not going to stock it on the off chance that somebody who's never played will be like, oh, that's an interesting price. Let me try that. So we're essentially, by alienating the LGSs and saying they don't want Daybreak at all, that's removing that opportunity for that new person to come in and see, oh, this great set that is a really good example of how good Elestrals can be when it has good conditions and good quality around it. They're not going to get that opportunity because LGSs won't stock Daybreak because it's a net loss for them no matter what they do, unless they're overcharging people for it. So if they were to open this up either to general distribution and, throw 5,000 boxes on the market through general distribution at, 45, 48 or something like that, they could get to stores and stores could sell them at a reasonable price, or through the wholesale program and sell it at 50 or 55. People could buy those and sell them to make money, which right now they just can't. There's no option for a store to make money off of it, which reduces your audience for it significantly. Now, because of the price decrease and the stock announcement, you're not going to get collectors in the door. That just, there's no incentive. There's no reason for you to collect one of these boxes when there's 2 years worth of supply out there, and more than likely the price isn't going to change in some significant amount. But yeah, I think alienating the LGSs and online game stores and anyone else who sells Elestrals product is going to have a net negative across the entire hobby. Now, obviously, an individual as a collector or a pack opener or a player is probably going to be okay with like buying 1, 2, 3, maybe even a case of 6 boxes. I think there's some benefit there. And obviously, Elestrals gets to remove some of the stock from their inventory. I see the benefit of putting them on sale, but I think the way they're putting it on sale is just hurting everybody selling them. Now, why I don't think this is a big impact to the other sets. Obviously, if they come out in a few months and say, oh, also secretly, Moonrise had a 25,000 box print run, and we're also going to put those on sale, then maybe that has some impact to the other first edition sets. Maybe people stop believing them when they say, oh, we're sold out of stuff. Or if they come back and say, like, oh, actually, we found 1,000 Sunstrike boxes sitting around, like, sure. Right. Then you get into more of the like, hey, you say you're transparent, but can we trust what you're actually saying? Kind of conversation. I don't think this does that because they've never talked about this before. They've never said anything that made us think there was only a certain amount of Daybreak boxes. So I don't think there's a big risk there. Now, I have heard people say it makes them nervous about different sets. Like, oh, is this going to alienate people from wanting to collect other sets? If 2 of the first edition boxes aren't valuable and aren't rare, is that going to de-incentivize people from collecting base set or Kickstarter or Moonrise? I don't think in the long run that it will. And I don't think, 5 years from now, this is going to make any level of difference. If Elestrals is still around and doing well, Frostfall will be sold out. Daybreak will be sold out, and these boxes will be worth more than they cost right now. I feel very confident in that. And in the short term, this means don't buy Daybreak unless you're opening it. If you are a collector or you're a reseller, unless they come out with a wholesale or distribution option where you can buy this cheap enough that you can sell it for a profit or at least a break even, don't buy it unless you're opening it. That would be my strong recommendation for anybody who's listening who wants to know what I'm doing to react to it. I have 2 cases of Daybreak downstairs, and I just am not going to be selling it because I would lose money on it, and I'm not going to be buying any more because I don't trust that this won't go on sale again. Now, maybe they could come out, maybe they could make an announcement and say we're going to push all these boxes through distribution, and these could flush much faster, right? If they were to push 5,000 of these boxes through distribution, stores are going to sell them, right? They got to get it off their books. It will happen. Does that tank the market down to $30 or $40 a box? Potentially, right? But now there is no trust that these prices are going to stay anywhere above $65 until Shop Elestrals is sold out. And that's just the unfortunate state of where it's at right now. The only thing you can do to really recover this from the game store is to offer it to them even lower so that they can sell it at that same price or just under to make money from it. Again, this doesn't really hurt my opinion of Elestrals overall. I do think if they keep doing something like this, it will come off as the Amazon dumps that Magic the Gathering did in the early 2020s, where Magic would release a ton of product, have it sold at MSRP, and several months after that, they would come and just dump a product on Amazon significantly below MSRP. Essentially, what happened was stores stopped wanting to stock those boxes. They started just opening the boxes and selling the singles right away. And essentially, that product got so rare and sparse because nobody wanted to collect it that now those boxes are worth significantly more than they probably should be because nobody kept it because it was such garbage value for so long. And LGSs didn't want the boxes. They just opened it for singles and moved on, which could easily happen to both Frostfall and Daybreak over the next couple of years. Because again, I don't think anyone's going to be buying these boxes unless they're opening. And that, for savvy collectors and investors, that could be a good thing in a couple of years. But in the short term, it really hurts the reseller market. It basically means unless you get into Elestrals and start following it enough, you're probably not ever going to be able to buy a Daybreak box or Frostfall box, which is okay as long as they can get in through another means, through another reasonably priced product. But I do think it would be a great initiative for Elestrals to put these on sale for distributors, for wholesalers, so that they could sell these boxes as well and get these into the hands of people who really don't know Elestrals yet. Those are my thoughts. Hopefully they all made sense. I know I did a lot of rambling. If you like this kind of rambling, ranting content, I make videos all the time. Some of them are a little more structured and have data behind them, but this is more of just me sharing my feelings about the announcement and information today. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more content. That's all I got. I'm out.